Hey, how's it going? Happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Welcome to my stream. Hopefully everyone's doing well on this fine Saturday. It's actually really nice here in Minnesota. So I usually start with the weather. I'm going to start with the weather today. Get back on that train. Weather is surprisingly nice for me. I enjoy it. It's actually cool. I think the high today is like 73, 74. It's cloudy. We had a thunderstorm last night, and it's been raining off and on. This is a welcome for me. It's been so dry here in Minnesota. And I think across the United States, I think we need a lot of rain. So anyways, I welcome it. I woke up to a thunderstorm last night, which was actually pretty awesome. Actually, it was really early this morning. And I swear, like this bolt of lightning must have hit within a mile of my house because it was instantaneous. From the flash to the actual thunder was instantaneous, and it just shook the whole entire house. So anyways, love thunderstorms. We haven't had them in a while, and so we had one last night, and it's just been damp and rainy all day and cloudy, and this is my kind of day. So how are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? Curious what you guys are working on. I've been working on quite a few things. Some I'm not going to share yet. You'll see, but other things, I'm definitely willing to share. I've been, like I say most times, like weekends are kind of like my maintenance because I'm usually through the week working on projects, creating content, and then Saturday turns into how do I maintain this thing along with how do I keep this thing in my home production in my home lab. So. It's kind of what I've been working on. A lot of maintenance. I'm also trying to figure out, doing a little DIY / home improvement stuff, trying to move my server rack. And it's not a huge move. It's not a huge move. For me, it is. I mean, it may as well be like a block away. But for me, it's actually moving it like about 6 or 7 feet away. But that 6 or 7 feet away is inside of this old, like kind of cubby kind of crawl space slash sauna, as the electrical panel says, but it's just this kind of closet underneath my nook, which is above a porch, and so I kind of want to get it inside of there for a couple of reasons. But mainly the reason why I say it may as well be a block away is that there's a tiny opening. In this wall, and it's only as big as the stud width, and so there's no way I can move my server rack in there unless I totally disassemble it and move it and then put it back together inside. I don't want to do that, so I'm trying to figure out, can I cut these studs without my house falling down? So don't want my house falling down. So that's what I've been trying to figure out. But the goal is to move it inside of this, and so I can get better ventilation to that whole entire room is insulated, top, bottom, all around. Like I said, it says sauna on there. It's probably a grow room. Who knows? Previous owner. This is a grow room. Totally insulated, so means I get better cooling, better heating. Not that I need it, but also some noise dampening too, which is kind of nice. Right now, my server rack is just in my basement, out in the open, which is totally fine. But I can kind of hear it. If things are turned off on my main level, I can kind of hear it. So, anyways, it's kind of what I've been working on. A little bit of home improvement stuff, just trying to prepare to get this ready. And while we're on this home improvement kick, I totally did the bonehead move. The last couple of days, got some windows installed and tore out some old, all kinds of stuff, old wood and stucco and just cement. And then I thought, I'll take the shop vac and clean it up. Well, I was cleaning it up for I did it 2 times. And all of a sudden the smoke alarm starts going off and it's kind of hard to breathe. My throat hurts. I'm like, what is going on? Well, I open up my vacuum and I realize I never put the filter back on. So anyways, on shop vacs, you have a filter, sometimes a HEPA filter. And I totally preemptively changed the filter. Last year, the last time I kind of used it for a bigger job, I took the filter off because I was like, I need a new filter. I'll just get it next time. Well, I never put it back on. So anyways, now I have dust everywhere, and it's worse than it was before. So anyways, I don't know. If you have a shop vac, change your filter. And if you do change the filter, make sure you have the new one in hand and you're going to actually put it in before you do it. Anyways, that's enough about my blunders. There's lots of them. I messed up quite a bit, especially on home improvement stuff. I just kind of figure it out, and This is where I wish I had a little bit of professional advice. So anyways, how are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? Curious what you guys are working on. Even if it's home improvement stuff, that's totally fine. I'd love to know because I get ideas from you. One thing too, I think in my last video at the end, I was mentioning like, hey, I'm kind of out of ideas, like throw them my way. That was taken a little bit out of context. I have tons of ideas. So I don't want you to think that, oh, I'm out of ideas. What am I going to do next? And if you're like, yeah, he didn't come out with a video this week, probably because he can't think of anything. That's not it at all. So there's a little more context to that, which maybe I didn't fully explain. First of all, I welcome your feedback. So always throw ideas at me. If you have something you'd love to see for a video or love to figure out or need help with, throw it at me. I absolutely love that and welcome it. I welcome that feedback. But in that clip, I was basically saying, and I didn't explain it so eloquently, was that I'm kind of out of the things I need to do. So when I first started this journey, this home lab journey, and this YouTube journey, I had a list of things I need to do, basically requirements to get my home lab up and going. And now I'm kind of at the end of my requirements, the things I need to do. And so what I didn't so much explain in that clip was, now I'm at the point where I can do the creative things I want to do or I'm curious about or excited to do. And it's no more of this foundational type stuff. All of my stuff building up to, just even a couple of weeks ago where it was just foundational stuff. How do I get my home lab up? How do I get it going? How do I rack it? What servers do I use? How do I upgrade servers? What servers, am I going to use in the future? I'm planning for the next couple of years. Same with my network upgrade. I thought, well, it's time to upgrade my network, need a better switch, need a better firewall. And so, a lot of foundational stuff. And so I guess my point is that I'm done with a lot of my foundational stuff. So that means I can do I won't get too far off the rails, but some more creative stuff, some more experimental stuff with my home lab. So anyways, I felt like I should explain myself, even though I probably don't, because you guys know. And anyways, and if you want to see things and future content, ping me anywhere, and I will definitely see it at some point in time. I think I'm pretty okay at getting back to people, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, wherever. So anyways, how are you guys doing? What are you working on? Happy Saturday. Real quick, I'm going to go through. There's follows, and they're still rolling in, so thank you so much. And there's subs rolling in, so I want to make sure I address those too. So first of all, yeah, thank you for doing that. It's pretty awesome. Let's see. My music seems a little different. I don't know if I have my normal playlist on random, but anyways. So I'm going to start with things that happened recently, and then I'll work my way up. So how's that sound? That's usually how it goes. Because there were things that happened just before, not too long ago. So May Rink, thanks for follow, appreciate it. Welcome. Samu93, thanks for follow, appreciate it. Welcome. PC Geek resub tier 1, 11 month streak. Happy Saturday, dude. How are you doing? If you don't know PC Geek is one, an awesome person. Two, he's always here on the stream. Three, he's a mod for both this channel as well as Discord. He helps out a ton. iLoot is here. He's a mod as well. They both help out a ton. And also Manny and Exor, they're also mods. But anyways, PC Geek, thank you, dude, for the resub. Really appreciate it. 11 months, dude. Almost 1 year. I need to revisit my 1 year badges. If you saw my Trello board, it's on there. It's on there. It's in the to-do. I just haven't moved it to done. So keep me honest and keep reminding me of those things that I haven't done yet. Not that you need to, but you guys do a great job of keeping me honest. When I say I'm going to do something, you guys do a great job of reminding me I need to do it. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the help you give. And I'm sure everyone in the community appreciates all the help you give. You guys are super duper active, have great answers, have most of the time, almost all the time, have the right answers, great answers or recommendations. So really, really appreciate you guys for that. But PC Geek, thanks for the resub. Appreciate it. Fatbird? Oh, I missed one. Theo Paris has followed. Theo Paris has followed the channel. Theo Paris. If this is Theo the Theo, maybe he's a different Theo. Dude, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. I thought you were already following. Maybe you have a new channel. But if not, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Fatbird, thanks for the sub. Prime sub. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thanks for spending your Prime sub on me. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. John, 11235. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Dom Nooner, Ramy Main, Origin Master. Thanks you all for the follows. Appreciate it. Welcome. And speaking of iLoot, thanks for the resub. Tier 1, 11 months, 11-month streaks. You guys are on the same day, same month, same everything. So I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Ilu, thanks so much. Again, like my thank you to PC Geek was included you as well, but you should call it out specifically. Thanks for all you do and all the help in the community and all your wisdom and guidance. So yeah, what are you guys working on? I got a lot of stuff here. I got to scroll up already. But what are you guys working on? And how can I help? How can I help? I know I have a ton of content out there and there's so many different entry points into my content and sometimes you just need some help or need some pointers. Now's definitely the time to ask. You can obviously ask anytime, but I'm going to, this stream is basically for you. And so let me know if you have specific questions or even things that aren't covered in my content. Totally fine too. Let me know. So first of all, who was first? Phantom Way. Looks like Phantom Way was first, even though there was a follow in there. Phantom Way, thanks for being first. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Takano, how's it going, man? Yeah, Takano, how are you, dude? Hopefully things are going well. Hopefully you're still working on your typical projects. Hopefully they're going well too. PC Geek, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Thanks, dude. Phantom Way, notification squad. All right, that's probably when you rolled in, when you got the notification. Appreciate it, dude. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Theo Paris, I said that one. Yeah, note to self, disable some of my notifications for myself because they get in the way of chat. Anyways, Theo Paris, hi, this is Creepinson. LOL, I knew it. I knew that was you, that Creepinson is really Theo, which is also Theo Paris, which I think is your GitHub handle. But in Discord, it used to be Creepinson, but Jen changed to Theo. And yeah, so anyways, I followed the trail. So, hey, good to have you. Good to see you. Mathne, I was here before. Haha, yeah. Mathne's sometimes here at 2:30 and says like first. So appreciate it. How you doing? Ilud, I've been beaten because I had to log in. Yeah, the infamous sign in. Oh yeah, you can't chat till you sign in. But yeah, well, Ilud, thank you for being here. PC Geek, technically, we were all beat today. Someone came in and followed at 3:14, almost an hour ago, so 2:14 my time. Yeah, that was Samu. That is true. They didn't say anything in chat though. My bot beat everyone, if you see, but. I'm gonna adjust that, I promise. Ilud, since I'm a mod, I can say that it only counts if you are within 15 minutes of the start of the stream. Yeah, for sure. Mr. DJ Keck. There we go. Glad I can be here for this live for once. 6 a.m. here in Australia. Wow, it's tomorrow. That's right. It's tomorrow there in Australia. Wow. Well, thank you for being here so early. I can't remember the last time I woke up at 6 a.m. I rarely ever wake up that early. It's usually for a flight, and I'm dreading, like, why did I choose a flight that early? But, hey, thanks for being here. 6 a.m. in Australia. Mathne, not mod, but I still agree. That's true. Mr. DJ Keck, installing Exchange Server 2016 on Proxmox. Whoa, we're going all out. Upgrading from Small Business Server 2011. That is quite the leap from Small Business Server 2011 to Exchange Server 2016. Wow, you are going all out. I've only installed Exchange Server. Well, I've actually done it a couple times, but they were all trying to get it to work once. So good luck to you. Let me know if you need some help. You know, Exchange is one of those things that, it's awesome. It's kind of ubiquitous for enterprise mail. Most companies use it, or they use, either the cloud-based version with Office 365, but it's still Exchange, I guess, behind the scenes. And it's really awesome when what it does. But man, it has a ton of requirements, as it should. It's pretty robust. It's an enterprise mail system, so why not? I just remember, it's Active Directory, Microsoft DNS or some DNS, probably Microsoft DNS, and then it's Exchange on top of that. It's quite the ordeal. So I don't envy you that you've got to install it. I envy you once you get it running. How about that? But good luck to that. Good luck to you on that for sure. Sorry, I'm like a little bit clogged up. I don't have a cold. It's like I said, all that dust that I wasn't trapping with the filter, totally went into the air, and then so my nose and sinuses acted like a filter for that. Oh geez, dude, I love, what am I even talking about? What's going on? Ilu, dude, thank you so much. Dude, gifted 5 tier 1 sub, dude. Ilu, thank you so much. You really didn't have to. Really appreciate it, man. So DZ, Sanderstar, Banana in ice, and Garrus and Bill Nash. Enjoy your gifted sub from Ilu. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Dude, thank you. Ilu, very gracious. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, enjoy your gifted sub. Let's see. Let's see. DZ. Here we go. Just speaking of DZ, I just want Rancher to work again in Docker, single node, like you did on YouTube a year ago. Interesting. What's going on? It should work like my old tutorial it should be unchanged except for the version number, and there's an additional flag, which is, well, there's one more change, and maybe this is it, and maybe this is why I think you were asking in Discord if I can update it. There are 3 differences with the way I used to do it with Docker with the way it's done now. One, I mentioned there's an additional flag, the privilege flag, that you need to pass in. 2, the version, obviously, or maybe not so obviously. You need to pass in a version if you're going to pin it to the version. If not, you can always do latest and live on the edge and do that. And then the third piece is that it creates a cluster called local. Once it creates that cluster called local, you don't want to deploy your workloads to there. And that might be the piece that is kind of missing, and maybe I need to add that to the documentation, is that don't install any of your workloads to the cluster called local. That's on a single node. That's Rancher's management cluster for Rancher itself. So if you think about it, if you're going to do it on real Kubernetes, the way they want you to do it is have 2 clusters, one cluster that only runs Rancher and does all the Rancher management and the web UI and everything else. And then you spin up another cluster that's all for your user workloads, where you only deploy your workloads, Nextcloud, whatever, Nginx, your websites, your web services, your APIs, that's where you deploy those. And so on a single node, now they combine those 2 ideas and they create one cluster called local, and that's your Rancher management cluster. And then you create a different cluster than for your user workload. So maybe that's it, DZ. Maybe I think I figured it out and just telling you. I hope that's it. And I'll make sure. Let me write this down and keep myself honest. I'll check the documentation to make sure that that it actually says that Rancher local. I thought that PC Geek Rancher local cluster. I thought that PC Geek opened a PR at one point to mention that in the documentation, but I could be wrong. But I'll check. So let's see. But DZ, let me know. I think that those are the 3 things that are different from my old video, and maybe it's time to refresh. I was kind of hoping they would do something major that would cause, that would kind of initiate me to create a new one, but not yet. But maybe it's a tipping scale. Maybe 3 items that are different are the tipping scale to create new old content. Money boy Roy. Hello everyone, how's it going? Geek Almighty. I like it. Hello, how's it going? Dr. Control, I'm gonna go with that. Poor soul, half kidding. Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. I it's a huge accomplishment if you get it working right. And if you're running something already, it sounds like it should be. I don't want to say easy, but I guess most of the unknowns that if I were to start today, I wouldn't know. So you're on a great start that you have it running already on a prior version. So you know what needs to happen. You might probably have most of the infrastructure in place to get it going. But yeah, I don't envy you. For sure. You'll have to let me know how it goes. Brown Coat Gamer. How do you size your Rancher instance? Do you use thin provisioning? Oh yeah, good question. How do I size my Rancher instance? So on a single node, I go all out. On a single node, I think I gave when I was running a single node Rancher instance, I think I gave it all cores, probably 16 gigs of RAM, something crazy, or maybe not so crazy, depending on your workloads. And then 60 or 80 gigs of disk space. And that might not even be enough, depending on your workloads and how often you change them. because it keeps a cache of Docker images that it will clean up over time, but it keeps so many previous images before it cleans up. So anyways, do I use thin provisioning? I do for the disk. I do, yes. I think I'd have to check. And then I do something similar, kind of similar. Well, I guess maybe not so similar. I do use a template from Proxmox for my current installation of Rancher, which is on top of K3s, which then, I use a standard Ubuntu template where I give, every node 8 cores, 16 gigs of RAM, and like 40 or 60 gigs of disk space. And it is thin provision, which is a ticking time bomb if you don't have the total space and they all grow at the same time and you run into troubles. But for the most part, that's it. That's all I do. It's a little bit different on a single node. You'll probably have to give it more disk space only because, on a cluster, you're spreading that load out and disk requirement and CPU requirement and RAM requirement across all your nodes. On a single node, you're condensing all of that down into one node and you're saying, okay, instead of having 3 nodes where everything's kind of balanced and let Kubernetes figure it out, you're saying, nope, there's only one node, and so that needs to take on the requirements of them all. So that's kind of how I do it. Real quick, dude, Penguin Airlines, how's it going, man? How you been? Dude, haven't seen your name in a while. Has resub Prime 6 months. I'm back. BB. Thanks, dude. How you doing, man? Haven't seen your name in a while. Thank you for the resub. Really appreciate it. How are you doing? Inside Sources, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Let me see. So Grid, let's go here. Oh, sorry, piece of geek. Didn't mean to skip over you. That happened to me. Hope I didn't kill any of your tech like it did to me. That happened to me. Oh, with the filter. All right, we're cut from the same cloth then. We don't change our filters on our shopbacks or even put one in. I hope I didn't either, but I don't want to say, I kind of planned ahead for this, I don't want to say remodel, it sounds too formal. For the improvements we've been doing in the basement, I kind of planned ahead and draped a couple sheets over my server rack. Now, I get it that fine dust, like drywall dust is going to go right through there. But for the most part, I draped a sheet and a half over the front and kind of over, not so much the back, I let it blow through. And it caught most of it. So I was okay there. Everything else just has this huge layer of dust that, tonight, that's my plan is now to wipe everything down. I did get a better filter again. I don't know, some HEPA layer 3 or something filter that traps fine dust and did it all last night over and over and over. Tonight is going to be wiping down and getting rid of the layer that's stuck on everything else. What a mess. What a bonehead move. Yeah. And so far, no tech is damaged. I did cover up. I had an iPad down there, an Apple TV, big TV, and then my servers, and then some of my other network equipment. I covered everything up for the most part, but again, this is super fine dust to where it did get in the front. I actually took my shop vac after I got the filter and vacuumed out the front of my servers because you could kind of see, just that, drywall dust. It's really fine, but hopefully nothing's dead. I mean, if the bot's down, that means something's dead, and because that's all running in my home lab too. So, but yeah, bonehead move me. Garrett, hi Tim. What new projects are you planning and working on? Yeah, good question. I kind of talked about that a little bit. It's for me. It's data center move. Sounds so formal. No, but I want to move my server rack into this other room, but I need to get that other room just right first. And it's a little bit of hardware and then a little bit of software too. I have, so there's this, I haven't released it and haven't even figured out if I'm going to do this yet, but I've been working on this open source project. I want to contribute to it. And at the same time, I want to create a container for it so that we can all containerize it. So I'm kind of working on that. The project maintainer has no idea that I'm doing this because I'm doing it as a proof of concept on my workstation right here, making sure that I can take his code, containerize his code so that I can create a container for people to use in their home lab to self-host something that I think is pretty cool. It's pretty simple, pretty cool, but much needed. And so that's kind of what I've been working on, this proof of concept. I feel like I'm about, a sed command and an awk command away from getting this to work. But, shell scripting for me on Bash or just any shell, a Unix shell, it's kind of tough. I'm used to, like, I've written tons of shell scripts for both Windows and Unix or Linux-like machines. But I write more code, and I'm just like, I wish this was code, but what I need to do is actually happens in a pre-step in a Docker container, and I want to do it all in shell so that I don't have to rely on some node image to do something. So anyways, long story short, I've been working on something that's open source and building off this other open source project that hopefully in the next day or two I can wrap up so that I can share it with you guys. So, but yeah, it's a lot of little things, and then a couple other things in the pipeline that I keep building and adding to and ideating on, but nothing to share yet. Lights are going. Let's see. Money Boy Roy. I love the gloomy storm days. I do too. I don't know. I love days like this because I don't feel bad for not going outside. I don't know. I think that's what it boils down to. And I think it comes back to my childhood because, I used to play a ton of video games, and my mom or my parents would say, go outside. It's so nice out. And I was just like, no, but I want to play whatever, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out or Legend of Zelda or Excitebike or, I want to play all these games on my Nintendo. Like, why go outside? And so I think it goes back to then to where, now if it's raining outside, they can't tell me to go outside. And so what's there to do inside? It's either going to be like draw pictures or play Nintendo. And so it's one of the two. So I think that's what it's rooted in. But I love it too. And plus we need the rain. I think so much of the world, especially the United States, needs rain right now. Phantom Way, have you used MicroK8s with Rancher? MicroK8s has some really nice things, such as MicroK8s enabled MetalLB. No, I haven't. I have not yet. I see the reminder. So every time you SSH or log into an Ubuntu server, they're like, hey, we launched MicroK8s. It's funny how they build marketing right into their shell. I get it. A lot of people do. I mean, you see it sometimes even in git commands or npm commands when you clone or post npm install stuff. You see a lot of marketing. Anyways, so Ubuntu does tell you every time you log into an Ubuntu server, hey, we have MicroK8s. It's this super resilient, version of Kubernetes that you should try out. And I haven't. I should look at it. I should look at it because it comes up. It probably comes up every couple months, like someone asking if I've done it. But most of the Kubernetes I've done is either been in Azure or AWS or GCP. As far as public cloud, and then private cloud, it's our on-prem. It's either Rancher's version or K3S. And I found that I've gotten most of what I needed out of K3S. It would be awesome if MetalLB came with it, but at the same time, I'm pretty comfortable with installing MetalLB. Like, I run it in my own, and I've got it working, and I've kind of figured out, which cluster needs MetalLB and why. And the same goes for traffic or my ingress controller or my load balancer. I've kind of figured out where that goes and why. And don't get me wrong, like, it's probably awesome. MicroK8s, the version that they have that's out there that includes MetalLB. But as I found, even with K3S, sometimes I have to undo what they do. Because K3S will include a service load balancer that is for that conflicts with Rancher, or they include a version of Traffic, and I want to run a newer version of Traffic, or I want to run it different, or on a different cluster, or not on that cluster I spin up. And so, a few times I've had to undo those types of things. And so, while it's great to have them, I'm sure MicroK8s gives you a way to switch it off. Sometimes I undo some of those things because I have special needs when it comes to my cluster, and maybe I'm not doing it right, but no, need to look into it, Phantom Way. That's a good point. Like, people bring it up a lot. I should definitely look into it. Because if Canonical is behind it, it's probably pretty awesome. If Canonical's a big company and a force to reckon with, especially when it comes to it, to Ubuntu, of course. But yeah, look into it. You know what? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to get in the habit of, instead of just saying I'm going to do it, I'm going to actually write it down. If I had more desk space, MicroK8s. And I know I need to look into it. I just need to go into my Trello task and say, okay, really look into it a little bit more and know how it's different and understand it. Dr. CTRL moving all my servers and desktops to Arch. I know I'm crazy. Yeah, that's quite a task, especially if you're going from Windows. Probably not. Maybe you are, and that's a huge move and an awesome move. Sounds like an awesome move. But I could be wrong, but I feel like there's a half step usually people, when they move to Linux, sometimes they don't move directly to Arch. They'll move to something, a little bit more familiar. Maybe it's Ubuntu or Debian or something else. But you're going full Arch. Sounds awesome. Let me know. Was there a half step in between when you're on Linux before, or are you going straight from Windows? Because that's living on the edge. Sounds awesome though. Grid one. Have you tested Dock Starter in Raspberry Pi anytime? Have I? I haven't. To be honest, I don't even know what it is. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I haven't. Let me know. Dock Starter. I assume it's some Docker starter kit that gives you easy access to images or containers. I'm just guessing because I have no idea. But it sounds awesome. Let me know. Mr. GJ Keck. Dr. Control, haha. It's time, and got the keys for cheap, under $100 for Server 2016 and Exchange 2016, and it's just time to upgrade. Yeah, that sounds pretty cheap, especially for an Exchange server and Server 2016 for under $100. Especially if you got them both, that's pretty cheap. That is pretty cheap. Yeah, it sounds like quite the deal. Hey, HomeLab New, dude, how are you doing? HomeLab New resub, tier 1, 13 months, over a year now, stream hype. Yeah, man, 13 months, so a year and 1 month. Dude, thank you so much, appreciate it. How are you doing? You're probably in the UK, hope the new job is going well. Thank you, really appreciate it. Dr. CTL, Geek Almighty, yeah, love it so far. LTS kernels on servers for a little more stability. Yeah, that's true. PC Geek, do you call up AI to help? I don't think so, Raffle. No, I do need some help. Geek Almighty, depends on what you're using the machine for. My main computer is running Zen. Yeah, that's true too. Anur, let me get this right. Anir Rudia. Hey, love your videos. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. PC Geek, most of these real HEPA level filters you don't need to change. Just rinse them out. Totally let them dry, and it's good. Yeah, good tip. I think the last time I took one out is because I was actually like sucking up water in the garage one time, and it just got so coated I didn't even think to like take that off before. I was just, it's a wet dry vac. Like I'm just gonna go crazy, and that was not a good idea with that filter. And I think that was why I took it off, and I thought next time I'll use it, I'll just remember to get a filter, and that obviously didn't happen. But I think they have specific wet filters for shop vacs. I think if you're sucking up just like wet gravel like I was in the garage after I rinsed it out. But anyways, good tip on that. Yeah, and I've learned too that, man, HEPA filters, they charge a lot for a piece of cardboard and some, filters. Charge a lot for them. Actually, they're cheaper on vacuums than they are on like air purifiers right now, which I think a lot of the people are buying because of just air quality in general, because of either the fires or anything. They're pretty expensive, and sometimes they have 2-3 in there. I don't know. They're kind of expensive. It's like it's a subscription service for that appliance that you have, like most filters, But just like printers, they sell you a printer and they give you some starter, ink, and then after that you're subscribed to buying ink from them forever. It's kind of that way with air filtration too, I think. And they're not cheap, as isn't ink for printers. Dr. Control, Geek Almighty, thanks up. Yeah, PC Geek. The kind in my rigid shop vac is washable. Nice. I need to look into that because I have the rigid one too. I have the 4 gallon, 5 horse or something. It's just right for small projects. I need to look into it. I don't think mine is, but I should. Mine's a level 3 though that filters out fine dust. I don't know if that's a thing on the washable, but I should look because I want reusable in my life. Working on building my first home lab server with Supermicro motherboard. Griff, nice. I've been there. I've been there for sure. Awesome. So Supermicro motherboard. I assume it was a custom build or bare bones. Tell me more. I have 2 Supermicro. I bought bare bones that came with pretty much everything except for RAM, CPU, hard drives. And I love them. I couldn't be more happier. I mean, the fans are a little more whiny than my 2U, And of course, I don't have the same amount of PCI Express slots that I had on my 2U, but I definitely, I love them. I love them so much, more than I probably should, but they're so awesome. They better be, because they were not cheap, mainly the RAM. I think I have in my servers I have over half a terabyte total in all my servers. It's kind of crazy. It's a lot. It's a lot. Geek Almighty, I finally got to learn Ansible. Nice, Geek Almighty. I'm still a student of Ansible. I've done a little bit, and I still run my Ansible scripts. I should look at AWX. I know that's super popular, but I still run my Ansible scripts to update all my machines. I run it every so often. Right before part of my maintenance plan is updating those shortly after I update Proxmox, because Proxmox sometimes requires a reboot, and if I'm going to take Proxmox down, all my guests are going to probably, it's a good time to patch all my guests because they might require a reboot too. But yeah, it's super fun. And I have tons of like little playbooks for all the little things in my environment to kind of bring them up to snuff for my environment. I love it. I love that it's agentless, clientless. It's just running SSH commands, have all my playbooks in the YAML, and I just say go and check on it, a minute or two later, and it's done. I love it. Fetbert upgraded my TV server. Had to climp on the roof to install the new INB. Oh, okay, I need to. Oh, TV server. Gotcha. I was like TV. What does that stand for? Television. Okay, upgraded my new television server. Had to climb on the roof to install my new INB. I'm assuming antenna. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. What's your TV server? Is it? Are you using something like an HD home run to connect to an antenna to then give you, TV over the network, and then use Plex or Jellyfin to connect to that? Let me know, because I've been into that stuff for a long time. I love it. I got lucky though. I didn't have to put an antenna on my roof because the previous owner put this huge antenna in my attic that's like suspended in the air. And at first when I moved in, I'm like, I don't want that thing. I want that thing out. And then a month later, I was like, no, actually I do want that thing, because now I don't have to deal with these antennas inside or outside. And it's high enough up to where it gets pretty good reception. And the previous owner also ran, coax all the way down to the basement, mostly. And so all I had to do is run it the rest of the way in the basement to my server rack, to my HD home run, and I'm like, sweet, I got over-the-air TV to record. But yeah, I love it. I love it. I love that whole. I love it how we're still holding on to TV signals. That's all going to change here soon. Ilude, if it's your first time here, please join us in Discord. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's see, Anirudh. Oh, Anirudh. Okay, sorry, Anirudh. Just finished up. I know someone else's name, Anirudh, so I apologize for slaughtering that name the first time I said it. Just finished setting up Nextcloud in Docker with face recognition, kind of like Google Photos. By the way, love your videos. Thank you. That's awesome. I haven't done any of that yet. I'm always surprised at all these plugins that Nextcloud has. Like I still run Nextcloud. I basically use it as a Dropbox replacement, and I've added some additional plugins like two-factor auth or one-time passwords, which is awesome. But I've seen they have these other cool plugins like Trello replacement, which I just found the other day, which is pretty cool, that you could self-host, a Kanban board within Nextcloud and on top of Nextcloud, so I don't have to run something different. And now you're saying you get face recognition like Google Photos, which is pretty awesome. I'm always curious about those, if they do the face recognition local or if they upload them to the cloud, because I've noticed that some services will still take a snapshot thumbnail and upload that thumbnail to the cloud to do, the machine learning or the AI piece off-prem, and then send you the results on-prem, and then you get face recognition. A lot of mobile devices do that kind of thing too, where they just offload it to the cloud back to their services. So I'm curious. I need to look into this face recognition plugin for your photos, like Google Photos. Is that service actually then, recognizing the faces, or is it all local on-prem? Because if it's all on-prem, that is awesome. That is awesome. Geos 1. I'm working on the Foreman OpenStack. Nice, OpenStack. I don't know what the Foreman is, but I know what OpenStack is. Sounds awesome. How's it going? Is it going okay? Hopefully. Pitchfork Hades. Hello all. How's it going, Pitchfork 80? Mapney, praise be Ilude. I agree, you guys. Mods are so awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just getting to that, but you guys are so awesome. You do so much every day, and it's the things that people don't see that make everything I do so awesome. So I really appreciate it. Fatbird, thank you for your content. Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. I'm just trying to figure it all out. That's all I'll say. Han Weston, hello. I'll watch it later, and I miss so much this live. Awesome. Yeah, it's a good segue into this stream is available afterwards too. And I encourage you to be here because obviously we can interact and talk, and you can get things figured out or just listen in. But it's always available after this on Twitch, and then available a couple days later on YouTube. It's on a different YouTube channel. Just search for Techno Tim Talks. You'll see the YouTube channel there. All of my streams since I started archiving them there on YouTube are also there. So it's my second channel, but it's really just an archive of these in case I need them one day because Twitch only keeps them for so long. So anyways, PC Geek, lots of pretty wisdomous people here. I agree. The collective knowledge in this channel and in Discord is like, centuries of knowledge, of tech knowledge, and it spans the gamut of all tech. And so I really appreciate it, especially in the channel right now. I mean, it's big brains going on in this channel, mostly because of you guys, because you guys are super smart when it comes to this stuff. GS1, I'm working on the Foreman Proxmox OpenStack and Rancheros Debian Ubuntu auto setup. I gotta look into this. This sounds pretty awesome. Gotta look into it, Geos. Gotta look into it. The Stroid. That's what I'm going with. The Stroid just bought my first real server and going to migrate my old laptop server. I love it. Hey, laptops are server can be servers too. By definition, it's just any machine that serves information to another machine. So your Pi can be a server. Your laptop can be a server. Even your desktop can be a server, at least in the client-server relationship. But I know what you're going for is that you're getting a dedicated machine that was built, with the intent of running 24/7 and maybe have some HA features like RAID or ECC RAM or things like that to help improve reliability and probably performance too. So congratulations, Destroyed. Congratulations. Let me know what you got. Let me know if we can help. Brown Coat Gamer, I want to move a Rancher VM for managing Docker instances in Proxmox. How would you go about sizing it? Do you use thin provisioning? I assume we can only store Docker images and volumes inside the VM space unless you're using NFS. I want to move a Rancher VM for managing Docker instances in Proxmox. How would you go about sizing it? I talked about this a little bit, I think in the earlier, and I think you were just probably clarifying some of your question or your question. But it really boils down to, it sounds like a single node instance. And single node instance, you got to think of it like small business type server. So if you're thinking of, what was a small business server? We talked about that a little bit earlier. But, it's kind of your all-in-one, your all-in-one server that does everything, has multiple services. And a small business service might have, DHCP, DNS, Active Directory, and Exchange all in one. Your typical small business server back in the day. Think of Docker single node install like that. I'm trying to relate to something that maybe you can draw a line and maybe you can't. But if you're going single node, it's that same idea where you have, your container management platform, the UI that you actually manage it with, and then all of your services all running on one machine. So it's that same idea. So you'll need to go as big as you need to go. I know it's a pretty generic answer, but there is no one size fits all answer. I would go thin provisioning because you never know when you're going to need to grow, right? But that comes with the normal challenges of thin provisioning disks is like you can over provision your disk and run out of real disk space while your thin provision disk still thinks you have disk left, and you'll run into the same kinds of problems that you would otherwise. So anyways, I always thin provision just because it's easy. It's easy. It's hard to figure out later when something goes wrong, but mostly I do. And then I assume it can store Docker images and volumes inside of the VM space. Yep, that's right. Unless you use NFS, it will still. It's always going to store it on those VMs. It's always going to store it on the VM. So those Docker images are going to be, or those container D, I should just say those container images are going to be stored on whichever virtual machine that it's running on, or that host system for that node. I don't know about offloading those images to a network share. It might be possible. I probably wouldn't try it because you want those to be their local cache. So if they need to restart, or if anything goes wrong, they can repull them again locally, and they're all cached. And Kubernetes should do a pretty good job of cleaning up those ones that aren't in use over time. I mean, that's part of the promise of using Kubernetes versus just plain old Docker, right? It's going to do some garbage collection. Part of that is cleaning up old images that aren't being used anymore. And that can be tailored too. There might be, I think in mine, I tell it only used 3 or 4 of the past history. You could get really, precise and tell it to only, allow 1 from history. So that if something goes wrong, it can at least roll back to what it was using before, like on a deployment. Or you can live on the edge and say 0. I don't even know if that's a possibility, but you wouldn't want that. You would want at least the previous one there. So if you try to deploy something, it can roll back to the previous one automatically. You at least want 1 in your revision history. So, but anyways, they're all going to be local on the node. I would then provision it, and I would give it enough disk space. Some people go ultra low, on disk space when they set up their Kubernetes nodes, thinking, it'll totally be fine. 20 gigs, that's fine, right? It might be, but depending on how many images you're going to pull over time and how big those images are. Some images can be really tiny, 100, 200 megs. Some can be really big. Some can be 800, 900 megs, 1 gig, and if you pull down 4 or 5 of those, those 4 or 5 gigs. So you have to pay attention to those images too. It's one of the pros and cons of bring your own dependencies, which is part of what Docker does. It gives you an immutable container along with all of its dependencies. And that's both good and there's pros and cons to that. It's good because now you don't need to rely on those dependencies being installed on the server. So they're totally portable. And then one of the cons is, okay, now you're bringing all your dependencies, which makes the image a little bit bigger. And I think like a lot of image maintainers, I've done a ton of stuff to optimize image size. So unless it's something highly specialized, most of the time they're going to be pretty small. Anyways, long story short, it's going to be tuned for your needs for sure. Magic Eros. Hi, how are you doing? Hot Weston had a 2-month break from it. All right, 2-month break from my stream. Appreciate it. I haven't seen your name in a while, but appreciate you being back. The bot is always here. I hope so. I hope so. Skynet sees. Yeah. Oh, my bot. Yeah, it is always on. I need to do some tuning to it though too, because sometimes like this, it gets kind of gets in the way during the stream. It's great for when I'm offline, and I used to have some code in to check to see if I'm online. And if I wasn't online, don't show the, if I'm online, don't show the messages and vice versa, but I just haven't dug back into that. CM Pickle. Hey, Tim, a lot of people, myself included, have been having issues getting Rancher to run in Docker. The latest tag doesn't work and says the -- privilege flag is required even if it has been supplied. Older versions seem somewhat work, but at least in my current experience, Ranchers is restarting every half hour or so. I haven't found anything useful in the Rancher logs as to what's causing this. CM Pickle, I'll take a look myself. I still have my Rancher test environment single node install on a virtual machine. I can check myself, but I think I talked about this a little bit. The 3 differences are, I'll say it real quick. Newer version, once it's 2.5, you have to use that privilege flag. That has to be there. And then on if you upgrade from an old version to a new version, you're okay. But if you start with a brand new 2.5 version, it's going to create this cluster called local, where only, I'll say that again, only Rancher stuff should be installed. So you should never create any user workloads inside the local cluster. That's Rancher's cluster. For management, you should create your workloads outside in a different cluster. So I mean, that could be part of it too. And I'll have to check. I have a note right here to check my documentation to make sure that I have some kind of note that says that there, that says, hey, don't use local. But like I said, I thought that PC Geek opened a pull request to add to that. If not, I'm hinting. No, I'll totally do it. I promise, right after the stream. Lots of activity. But CM Pickle, let me know. The Docker logs should tell you kind of what's going on, why it's rebooting. And sometimes... yeah, it should say. If it's just flat out rebooting itself, and you're running multiple virtual machines and it's the only one, like is the VM rebooting or is the container restarting? Because those are two different things, obviously. But you're saying that Rancher is restarting about every half hour or so. So Let me know. Let's debug this, but those are the 3 things I would check. Dev Kazuto. Hey, Tim, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Good weather. It's Saturday. You're here. I'm live. It couldn't be better. Banana Fana. Yeah, I know. Making sure the bot works. Oh, I'm so glad the bot's working. It's been pretty solid ever since I did a lot of fixing, and I did a lot of fixing, a lot of tweaking, a lot of liveness checks, and then just getting it in Kubernetes on multiple nodes has been awesome, because now it's like, oh, if it dies, it's just going to spin up somewhere else. The promise of Kubernetes health checks. Siberius, well, there we go. Supported commands, he told you. What did you even try? Oh, twists, yeah. So the twists, that's what she said. I got to see what, okay. I won't scroll. Let's see. PC Geek, is it in the documentation already? It's in the documentation already, not to use local in the Docker version of Rancher. Thank you. I've said it a few times, but I've caught up. Awesome. Penguin Airlines, how's it going? I saw your sub earlier. Resub. How you been, man? Good to see you again. Long time no see. My fault. No, that's how it goes. Jensen is Ben. I apologize. Hi. Let me know how to pronounce your name, because I would love to pronounce it phonetically. If you could spell it phonetically, that would be fantastic, and I'll remember it at least for the rest of the stream and maybe next time. Mr. DJ Keck, haha. That 6 a.m. means I've not slept yet. Yeah, that's for me too. Started to install a few hours ago, almost done. Say some prayers, haha. Create the users, import mail, configure the receive domain, import the SSL, change the IP and pfSense, HH proxy, set up smart host for sending my ISP, won't allow SMTP relay. Then just hope when everyone opens Outlook, we're good. Hey, that sounds like a plan. Thanks for the cliff notes, because I would have no idea even where to begin. But Mr. DJ Keck, I hear you. It's 6 a.m. for me. Yeah, I guess when I mentioned that means I either have an early flight, or the other thing means I haven't slept yet. So I think I've stayed up to 6 a.m. More than I've woken up at 6 a.m. That's how it is for me. Same. Once you get into those 4, 5, 6s, that's kind of where I think I've stayed up to that time more than I've woken up at that time. Inside sources are using Rancher with the Raspberry Pi cluster. I don't know if that's directed at me. Have I? I think I have. I can't remember. I do have a Raspberry Pi in my cluster. There is a node. But it's actually not one of the server nodes or a master node. So it's not actually handling Rancher. It's handling some of my user workloads. So I can't remember if I have or have not. I should add one. But it should be just the same. We're running Rancher as it would anything else. Yeah, because at the end of the day, on your Rancher cluster, Rancher, the service itself, is a user workload just for Rancher, and then that whole cluster is just dedicated to Rancher. So, anyways, it's kind of the same idea, except for it's for Rancher itself. Let's see. Xavier Onate, just wondering how people are using HashiCorp tools, bins in their homelands at all. I haven't. I know that Vault is a huge one, and they have lots of great products. I haven't. I should probably set up Vault at sometimes for secret management. I haven't. I would love to hear if other people are. Dev Kazuto, I have to reinstall Proxmox because I can't sign into my machine terminal directly anymore. Getting logged out instantly, although nothing changed. That's not good. Especially having to reinstall it because of that. So from the terminal, what happens if you go through the web UI? I mean, could you go through the web UI, create a new user, and then do something from there? I'm trying to think of like workarounds to not rebuild your hypervisor, because that does not sound like fun unless you just started. But you probably has virtual machines on there. I mean, you have time and effort into that hypervisor, hopefully, if you're going to rebuild it, not too much. And so sometimes I've been in that situation before where rebuilding is just faster than troubleshooting. Yeah, depends on how much effort you have put into that system in the first place. But good luck with that for sure. Let's see, Dev Kazuto. Already tried it, didn't work, but before I reinstall it, we'll give it another shot. Oh, there we go. PC Geek, you can boot up the installer and run recovery. I like it. The comment about killing tech was referring to the The lightning storm. Oh, sorry. I totally thought it was shop vac. I was like, okay, I'm not the only bonehead. I guess I am. Yeah, I remember that. It was probably about a month ago when it fried some of your components at home. So far so good. But like I said, that bolt of lightning, I've never heard one hit that close to me. It was instantaneous. It was flash boom, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was like insane. And it rumbled the house as if like, you know, some jet was taking off right next to my house. Fortunately, everything was okay. I didn't hear any of my UPSs or anything flicker or beep. And then tech, for the most part, oh my gosh, if this died, that would be it would be so sad. But it wouldn't be sad. It'd just be annoying to go and replace everything. But everything's okay here. So far, so good. And I did buy those surge protectors you had mentioned. Great recommendation too, by the way. Super cheap and a lot of protection there. Okay, PC Geek. I do run my vac without a filter in it unless I'm sucking up water. Yeah, I know. That's how it should be. And I've done the opposite both times. I've run the vac without a filter sucking up dust because I thought there was a filter in there. And then when I did need to suck up water, I left the filter in there and then I destroyed the filter. And that's how I got in this situation in the first place. Double bonehead move. Penguin Airlines, I'm doing well, Techno Tim. I have a hectic time lately with buying a new house, moving and fixing up the old one for sale, but I'm finally settling down and getting back into tech projects. Running Cat 6 on my new place recently. Nice, man. Cat 6. Oh, I like it, PC Geek. 6 cats. I get it. I love it. Love it. Awesome. I feel your pain. I've been there before. It's like you got to take a hiatus from everything else that you used to like and enjoy and take up your time and do home improvement stuff. I've been there quite a few times. This last 2 weeks has kind of been like that too, where, you know, as soon as I'm done working, I'm working in the basement or figuring something else out. And it's not filled with content creation or video games or something else or tinkering with my home lab. I get it. Been there. Penguin Airlines, I have gigabit now too. I have been, going to have to get a router upgrade to handle fiber. All right, new upgrades. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, congratulations on selling the old house once you do, and congratulations on the new house. It's a big move. It's like a fresh start. I always look forward to that. So congratulations. It's super fun. Especially then you start thinking of like all the tech upgrades like you're doing. You're like, okay, Cat 6, what's next? Okay, fiber. I can get fiber into here, so I need a new router. Probably need new access points or at least another one, you know, and I get into that too. It's super fun figuring that stuff out. For some reason, I always pair like everything I need to do or want to do with new tech that I need to buy. Every home project, I'm like, yeah, I probably need, you know, this new piece of equipment for that. That's the story of my life. But the nice part is it makes me really excited to do that thing, more excited than, you know, before I decided to get the tech. So congratulations. That's super awesome. Zoa, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Web SK, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. And Gorilla 076, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. How you doing? Claude P. Hello, Tim. While waiting to become a Twitch affiliate, have you ever thought about transcoding the streams to 720p 30 because small connections like mine can't follow your streams? Yeah, good question. So I think you mean Twitch partner because I'm already affiliate. And so backstory, Twitch doesn't guarantee that you get transcoding options until you become a partner. Once you become a partner, then you're guaranteed transcoding. And then so if you do stream and you're only an affiliate, you may or may not get transcoding options. And I apologize. This is one I kind of I go back and forth on between 720p 30 frames per second or just do the 1080p 60 frames per second. I've been pretty lucky. I think it's about a 50-50 split on whether or not I get transcoding options. I would hope I do today. I don't think so, since you're mentioning that. But two parts, and I think I have a solution to this, and maybe I'll do that. Is, you know, when I do stream, and this is all Twitch stuff. This is all insider Twitch stuff. So anyways, when I do stream 1080p, 60 frames per second, you know, Twitch stores it. And then I have an easy export button to YouTube. So I export it to my YouTube archive channel. I have to do nothing but click buttons, and it's pretty great. And then I just trim up some stuff, and then I publish it 2 days later, usually on Monday on my other channel. So that's kind of nice. But what I could do, like you're kind of hinting at, is lower the stream so so all of the people joining from mobile or lower or slower connections can enjoy the stream without probably buffering or breaking it up. And what I could probably do is just record it at the same time and then upload it to YouTube. And maybe I'll investigate that. It's just one more button I have to press and a few more pieces. But if it makes it better for most people, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. So let me write that down because then I was already thinking, okay, well, if I do that, Twitch 720p30. Sorry, I have to write things down. Otherwise, so many things come up during the stream. I forget. I only remember the last two. It's like first in, first out with my brain during the stream. So anyways, I'll look into it, and then maybe that will give me a higher quality version that I upload to YouTube to my other channel. So thank you for that feedback. I do appreciate it. It comes up, I'd say probably every second or third stream, and so maybe I should look into it some more. Trailblazing 5 home lab. What kind of lab? Yeah, that's a good question because it does mean a lot of different things. I'm talking about a home lab, home technology lab, as if think of it like a computer lab at a college campus or anywhere else, the library, or anything like that. So home lab, so home technology lab. There are all kinds of labs. I totally agree. And when you search Google for home lab, you come up with all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it could be depends on what you want to cook up. Here we're only cooking up technology in our lab. So that's the kind of lab Trailblazing 5. Ubuntu, no bueno. Debian, yes. All right. Hey, I think you'll find people that say all kinds of stuff. But I think what's important here is that hey, some Unix-like system. I think that's what we can all agree on when it comes to Linux. Mark, this one snuck in. I apologize. Mark has resubbed tier 1, 7 months. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it. How are you doing today? Dude, 7 months. How is that even possible? Time flies by. I'm just gonna, fair warning, I'm gonna look for, I'll go through these really quick, but I usually try to keep it around roughly an hour just to make sure I'm conscious of your guys' time, and I just want to make sure that I'm aware of the time. I did go over, but sometimes I'm having so much fun talking about things that I could go all day, and I don't want to do that to you guys too. Phantom Way, did you ever figure out why load balancer never leaves provisioning state when using Metal LB plus traffic? Yes, Phantom Way, I have. That can happen. So if you're using the traffic 1 in Rancher, if that's what you're talking about, that can happen if the persistent volume isn't set up before you set up traffic. And so it's provisioning forever because it doesn't have a config because the config wasn't there to begin with. And so all you have to do is just delete that real quick, make sure you have your persistent volume, which you probably do because you did it after, and then spin up traffic again and it should be fine. That should do it. If it's something else, ping me, let me know. Ufix 1207. Hey, I'm 24 from India. Done with my master's information security this July. Now I'm planning to do my PhD in cybersecurity abroad. What are your thoughts on a PhD? Give me your suggestions. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even tell you where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. That's a big, broad topic. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin because I don't even have a master's, let alone a PhD. So you have a lot of education under your belt. That's what I'll say. I don't know what my thoughts on getting a PhD. I'm not sure. I mean, how fast do you want to enter the job market, and where do you want to enter the job market? At a PhD, you're entering the job market at a very different level. And at some point, you still going to need some real world experience. Hopefully, the first job that you get is going to be able to support the education you have, especially paying for it too, and then. Two, hopefully they can make use of your skills. I'm a software engineer and I've been in tech for a while. Getting a PhD in cybersecurity sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like a lot of education. I don't even know what's an entry level position for someone in that position. Not saying there aren't some, because cybersecurity is relatively new speaking department or focus in technology. Relatively, I'd say relatively. But yeah, I don't have any suggestions. I'm just trying to think like if I was going to hire someone that had that, what would I have them do? And it's probably be the head of cybersecurity. But then at the same time, I would say, well, they need some real world experience. And so that's where it's, it's a fine balance. I'd say just stay active. I guess my only suggestion or recommendation is stay active in that community, do things in that community, and make some of the things that you do public. I think that'll help you. That helps you with everything in technology. Do some things in public, build in public, teach in public, learn in public. And that's either through GitHub, GitLab, documentation, community forums. Have something you can point to too, because that'll always give you the edge, I think. And so if you have all of that knowledge, I don't know if you're planning on going to private or public sector or doing things for open source or, or proprietary stuff. Do some stuff in public and open source too. Share some of that knowledge. That's, I guess, my only suggestion. Let's see. I'm gonna look for mentions or ones for me. Yeah, those canonical freeloaders taken from the Debian project. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, this is starting to flame war. I mean, taking. I mean, that's debatable. I mean, open source. I mean, a lot of people get pretty. You could say that about a lot of open source projects. A lot of people build on top of other things or rebrand it, and they're like, hey, it's ours, and you're like, hey, that's the exact same thing, but with, a different logo. It happens a lot in open source, and that's just part of being open source. Hopefully that whatever that the foundational project is can separate themselves or keep themselves separate enough to convince people that theirs is better or why they do something different. But that's part of the open source promise, is that depending on licensing, then you can use it and change it and use it as your own. Depends on the license. You always have to check the license. It's not true across the board, and that's why all these licenses exist for different versions of open source, because some are more open than others, as we've learned over the last 3-4 years. I'm going to look for direct mentions. All right. Mark, hi, Tim. How's it going? PC Geek, I have 2 antennas in my attic still. I love it. I don't think I have connections to it anymore. Oh, you should run some. It's so awesome. I'm gonna look for mentions, because I do want to make sure that I'm conscious of your time, because we are over time, but I just want to make sure. Pexabot team, Techno Tim, vidIQ or TubeBuddy. Ever seen the value of these SEO tools? Yeah, I haven't used vidIQ. I have used TubeBuddy, and I do see the value. I do see the value for SEO somewhat, but I will say, so if you don't know, I'll just say this. So TubeBuddy is a helper on YouTube that will help you get SEO for your videos. And what's SEO? It's search engine optimization. And so TubeBuddy has a ton of data from everyone that uses YouTube, as well as people that don't, from public YouTube information. And they're able to suggest tags and search and kind of suggest titles against YouTube data. And so when you create a title, you can check it against TubeBuddy, which checks, their data and YouTube data to say, hey, this topic is fairly popular or not so popular. And so then you have to decide, like, is this good or bad? And so they have a ton of data to say it was searched this many times and it's not that popular. So this is pretty good. This is kind of, green, territory or new territory. Whereas, if say I was going to create a video on something else that's been covered by a ton of people and rarely searched, it would give you a recommendation saying this is not the greatest. And so they'll do those recommendations all through YouTube. And so I guess your question is, have I seen the value in those SEO tools? Yeah, I have seen the value, because it helps you understand, like, search volume. For me, that's a big one. That's a big one. And you can search yourself and say, how many people created videos on this? How old are they? But you don't know from that data how many people are searching for this thing too, and so that's an additional input that TubeBuddy gives you. But if you listen to what YouTube's saying, they're basically saying that a lot of the metadata doesn't matter, and which goes against traditional. This is part of their algorithm, but this goes against the traditional the idea of how you set up your metadata and your titles and your description and your tags. YouTube is saying that doesn't matter as much anymore. And because they're relying mostly on what you're saying and what you're saying in the first 30 to 60 seconds. And so that makes those tools a little less valuable. I won't say that they're not still good or have their place, but YouTube is doing all of their decision making on what your content is about by what you're actually saying, which is great because that's what your video is actually about. And so anyways, long story short, they basically said they're going to take what you're saying first. If it's unclear of what you're saying, then they'll kind of rely on your title and description very loosely to then figure out, how this fits into their algorithm. So anyways, long story short, I think TubeBuddy's pretty good. I've used it for a while and I do it, and it's more for research. And it's ahead of time. So I don't rely on it like the day I'm going to publish a video. I'm like, oh my gosh, should I make my tags a certain way? No, it's more for research. So anyways, that's a long, it's kind of the inside scoop on a little bit of behind the scenes on, YouTube algorithm, how that works and how TubeBuddy and these things kind of work. I will say that TubeBuddy is great. This is a paid feature. I don't have that, but I don't have any affiliation with them whatsoever. But the biggest value I see in TubeBuddy is when you actually need to change one or two things in all your descriptions across all of your hundreds of videos. That's where something like TubeBuddy really can help out, because I could say, hey, find this link in here that's broken or changed and replace it with this, and it can go through all your content and do that for you. Haven't done it yet, and I haven't needed to. I've done it manually once, and I did it to like almost 60 videos, and it takes a lot of time. And I'm like, should just paid the $5 to do this, but it's principle. It's principle. Anyways, as I get more content, I might consider it in the future. But anyways, yeah, good question. It's totally. Yeah, I do see some value, but again, like if you're thinking about creating content yourself, it's all about what you're saying, and it's all about what you're saying and how you're delivering it. GS1 Techno Tim, the foreman is an automation. What am I even talking about? It is past time. As an automation. I'm going to say that, and that's where the Z threw me off. It's an automation system for installing Linux, Windows, Ranchero OS. Oh, Rancheros. I'm thinking of food. I know it's Huevos Rancheros. Anyways, Ranchero OS system by just specifying what should be done after the install. Okay. So it's kind of like a little Cloud init plus Ansible, where you kind of declare what you want installed and it will do it for you, and then you declare the state you want afterwards. I like it. I'll have to look into it. DZ, are you a MERN full stack developer, or do you prefer AngularJS? So MERN. MERN, if you don't know, is Mongo Express React Node. Mongo Express React Node. Or do I prefer AngularJS? Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't thought about MERN in a while. I'm neither. Because it really depends on the stack that I'm working on. I will say at home, yes, I am MERN. So I do Mongo, I do Express, I do React, and I do Node. That's my stack at home. So I should say mostly I am. So out of work I am. In work, we don't use a lot of Mongo in the back end. I think a lot of companies are using Postgres. So I would say Pern, Postgres, Express, React, and Node. It's Pern. I like it. I just coined a term. But your data store, it doesn't really matter. You abstract that with Express anyways. Your APIs could really write to any data store you want. That's kind of up to whoever's running the backends or however they want to query report data. And so really, as far as like middle tier forward, Express, React, Node, yes, absolutely. The data store behind it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It's super duper important. But that really just that's really going to be based on your reporting architecture and how many joins you want to do, if you want to do joins, and how your data is structured. So not that it's not important, but everything in front of that is exactly the stack I choose most of the time. Data store, it just kind of depends on, what companies are running when I join. I did do a lot of AngularJS. I did a ton of it. I did a lot of one. I did some two, and then I just kind of got burnt out on they went from 2 to beta to skip 3 to 4. And I get why they did it. It was super important. They need to make these huge transformational changes, to upgrade their architecture and how they're handling stuff. But during that time, I was like, hey, there's this hot newish thing called React. I might as well check that out. If I'm going to relearn a framework, I'm just going to relearn something that's not Angular. That's not really Angular. It just has the same name. So anyways, not saying it's not awesome. It still is used by a ton of companies. I love React. I love the community. I love the tooling, and I love how it's evolved. It's super duper fun. Okay, so gonna look for mentions. GS1, the foreman will PXE boot the installer and automate everything. Okay, so it's PXE boot too. I'm liking it even more. It's even beyond an init, cloud init. It's PXE booting the device and laying down a PXE pre-boot environment and imaging the machine and then getting everything up. I'm liking it. Hey there, Tim. I wonder how you virtualize my drives with TrueNAS and Proxmox. Indirect Lex. How do I do it? So I have a video on it. It's exactly how I do it today. So I virtualize TrueNAS within Proxmox. And then on Proxmox, I pass through my HBA controller, so my disk controller, to that virtual machine. So it has direct access to it. And by doing that, then that TrueNAS server now has direct access to all the disks that are attached to it. And I don't have to pass through individual disks or think about it. I just say, hey, this disk controller is 100% dedicated to this virtual machine, which then gives it direct access to the disks. And then I can do ZFS the way, you're kind of supposed to. And then I have a disk shelf attached to that. And I did that intentionally. I know you can pass individual disks through, and that's totally fine too. But I was just thinking, I was trying to think long term, what if one day I don't want to virtualize this anymore? And if I pass through individual disks, I might have to do some additional mapping. But I know that if I transition one day to, a physical install of TrueNAS, all I need to do is move that card into there, and then I'm still good and can import the pool. And maybe you might be able to do that with individual drives, but doing that, I think for me was the easiest thing, and it required the least amount of brain power in the future. I'm all about that. Okay, Dev, Kazuto, Tim, the web UI doesn't work, not even when, because I've had issues on the network adapter. Even the installer says no adapter found. Oh my gosh, I lost this thread. I'm so good at keeping threads. Dev Kazuto, you have to remind me about what you're talking about. I thought we were talking about... this was your Proxmox rebuild? I think so. Oh, that's not good. That's not good because I've always had issues with the network adapter. Well, yeah, that's not good. Let me know. Or ping me in Discord. Let's figure it out. Throw some errors in Discord or screenshots for sure. Okay, looking. You might get a ton more viewers too if I ran 720. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I might too. If people join the stream and it's buffering right away, they're like, see you later. Mathne, no meth lab. No, not those kind of labs. No, technology labs, not those kind of labs. Home technology labs. Ufix. Techno Tim, thanks for the response. I'm new here and excited for the projects. All right, I'd love to see them. Love to hear about them. They inspire me, and they help me think about things I don't normally think about. It's another reason why I love getting everybody together here on Saturdays or whenever we get together, is because just new ideas, new opinions, new outside influence, and it's just so awesome. I feed off of it, and I get new ideas off of you guys too. Abduram. Hello, Techno Tim and everyone. I hope you're doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for that. I followed your Everything SSL video, and it's amazing. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you. I'll slow down a little bit. Let me grab a drink. I think part of the reason why I'm going so fast is because I knew I'm getting close to the end, but I should slow down a little bit. I've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. One last thing. Traffic has a custom error. Wait, let me see. Traffic custom error pages. Please do a video if you can, having traffic to server custom error pages instead of the default ones. I like it. It would be phenomenal. I've tried, but I'm out of luck. Thank you for your amazing work. And also thanks to the community members for all the help. Yeah, good question. Yeah, so custom error pages. If you don't know what he's talking about, so, with with a reverse proxy, and with web servers and services in general, if they're returning a view, you might be able to throw up some custom error pages. So let's say like a 404 or a 404 or a 403 or 401, whatever your HTTP status is. And we'll take 404 because that one's kind of easy to understand. Right now, I think with traffic, if you try to go to a path that doesn't exist, it'll just say 404 not found or default backend. I forget what it says. Some message where you're like, yeah, I typed in the wrong URL. But what you're asking for would be cool is to create custom custom pages, like all those cute 404 pages you see when you can't get to, the page you're looking for. Sometimes you see, sorry, these are not the droids you're looking for. The Star Wars meme, a lot of people use that for their 404, but then a lot of big companies have cutesy ones that, tie into the brand. So, Abdiram, I like it. I haven't done it. I'll have to look into it. Thank you for that. Hey, giving me some ideas. I like it. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I think we're down to the last one. So, Mr. DJ Keck, Techno Tim, can you import the pool without passing through the HBA? You can import the pool. All right. I like it. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, good call out. I haven't had to do this yet. I hope I never have to get to that point where I have to. I was thinking, though, if it's an HBA and then I put that HBA in another machine, I should be good. But you're right, because there's that software level of the pool where, it doesn't matter. I should be able to just import it. I appreciate it. Yep, the Proxmox login issues. I think I will reinstall. I always go back and forth on this. How much time do you spend troubleshooting versus how much time do you how much time do you spend troubleshooting versus rebuilding something? And my advice always is, if you have a lot of upfront time invested in building the thing and it's pretty far along, if you 10, 15 hours into building something and getting it the way you want, at what point do you pull the plug and say, I'm just going to rebuild it? That's a tough one. You just you got to, at some point, either cut your losses and do it or keep troubleshooting. I've noticed that if something is that far gone and I'm that far off in the weeds, usually the fixes I'm applying are things I wouldn't do to begin with. A lot of them are try this, didn't work. Okay, try this. And so all those things you try, you might be, drifting your configuration even further away from a good state to where even if you get it back to a good state, then maybe you might not want to be in the state that you're in. Anyways, long story short, what I'm trying to say is, sometimes you just have to cut your losses and rebuild, but it just depends on how much time you have invested in building it. Okay, that's it for today. Hey guys, thank you so much. Awesome stream. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here and taking time out of your Saturday. I know we went a little bit over, but sometimes it's super fun talking to you guys, and I want to make sure I address everything that you guys are saying. I do see some stuff rolling in. I got to fight myself and say, I'll go on for another half hour if I answer that question. But if you have more questions, this is a good segue. If you have more questions or have more things you want to share, or didn't get to share what you wanted to share, or you were too afraid or too, sometimes people are, I don't want to say too afraid, but sometimes people don't want to say stuff in chat in Twitch. You can absolutely say anything you want. Well, for the most part, I shouldn't say anything. You can say a lot of stuff. I'll say that in Discord chat. So we have a Discord server full of, I think we're at 4,500 people now in a Discord server, which blows my mind. I remember there was a time where it was just me and bots, thinking maybe one day I'll have about 20 people in here. Well, there's 4,500 people in our Discord server. I would love for you to join. They're sharing links right now. Absolutely join if you have any additional questions, or if you just want to hang out with people that are like-minded and think about different tech problems or solve tech solutions, or even just get up to date on tech. It's a great place to hang out and just kind of chit chat all day and see what people are up to. People share their projects too all day long. It's a huge part of our Discord. So I encourage you to do that. Other than that, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I will be back absolutely next Saturday. I'll have something for you soon too on YouTube, so I appreciate it. Thank you for the follows and for the subs. I really appreciate it. And have a great rest of the weekend. Great Saturday, Sunday if you're in Australia or Japan. But I really appreciate it. And as always, be good to each other. Take care, folks.